Welcome, everybody. Today, I'm going to talk about trusting your gut and really helping you understand how the gut plays a role in weight loss, weight maintenance. So today, I'm going to talk about really laying the foundation and reiterating why weight loss is multifactorial. We're going to discuss tips for optimal gut health. We are going to talk a little bit about probiotics and really digging into some of the research. And we're also going to talk about looking deeper into your gut health, because this is such an important piece. Gut health is like this term, and not many people really understand what that all really means. So I am going to help you understand really the depths of gut health and how you can get it back to a healthy state. So weight loss is multifactorial. Please understand this. And many people know that, it's not just about calories. It's not just about exercise. You cannot out exercise a poor diet. I'm talking about these things all the time, but you really do have to be cognizant and aware of some of the other things that are affecting your approach to weight loss. So like I just said, lifestyle habits. We live in a toxic world. We all need to detox. We need to support the liver. Our hormones are imbalanced. We need to really, again, address gut health, because that's going to drive these hormones. Insulin resistance or blood sugar dysregulation is huge. Mental wellness is huge. And nutrient deficiencies. I know this seems so odd to some people because we are exposed to food at any given time, but we live in a nation that is overfed and undernourished, and so many people are walking around with deficiencies, and a lot of that has to do with their gut. So success requires the following. So in order to lose weight effectively long-term, you have to reset your metabolism. You have to be able to burn abnormal fat stores. We have different types of fat stores, and it's really important to understand that piece. You must heal your gut. You must apply foundational nutrition and really start to build awareness around your behaviors, your emotions, and your lifestyle habits. Our approach at weight loss is really looking at the whole body for optimal weight loss. So we don't just focus on calorie restriction and exercise. Gut issues must be addressed because it affects the entire body and it affects your ability to lose weight long-term. The human body is sicker than ever, so we have to start to go to the deepest foundation and start that healing process. Personalizing programs is crucial for long-term results. There is no longer a place for just meal plans that are passed out to people to follow something for a short period of time, because we know that lasts for as long as they follow that, because then they will go right back to where they were. So this really is an opportunity for us to teach, educate, and empower our patients so they have the tools and skills for long-term success. So first and foremost, you are listening to this and you are struggling with your weight, you're wondering how the gut plays a role because you're kind of, you feel that there's something going on, you're not quite sure, you are told by your doctors that everything is great. First and foremost is really coming back to you and your belief in what you can accomplish, because it all starts there. You truly have to believe and you have to see yourself at a healthy weight in order for you to achieve it. I really can't emphasize this enough, but if something that you do struggle with, spend a little time in this area, because once you do start to believe it, you will be amazed at how quickly your process will move along. And it really comes down to, again, just the acknowledgement, the awareness, and then just setting small goals to get there. So does this sound like you? This is basically, the majority of patients that come to us, they simply cannot lose weight anymore. They've tried similar tactics their entire life that have kind of worked, to bring them back to where they were, but now they really just can't lose weight at all anymore. Or they do lose a small amount of weight and then they gain it right back. They're complaining of food sensitivities. They are bloated every single time they eat. They don't eat certain foods because they find themselves with stomach pain, etc. Or they're complaining that they're tired all the time. They have food cravings. So again, if you stop to think about some of these things, you have to understand that by just lowering calories is not going to resolve these things. So that's why we're here to always help people understand that we have to really fix the foundation so that you can actually move the needle with your health and actually accomplish your goals. Laying the foundation, I believe that the gut is really the foundation to the human body. It's kind of like the roots of a tree. And, this is not new information. This has been around for a very long time. As you can see, Hippocrates, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, talked about how all disease begins in the gut. So we just are not talking about it in the modern world that we live in. We don't take the approach of healing or repairing. We take the approach of symptom relief, medication, ignoring the root, and just hoping that we can survive while our body slowly gets worse. So we are all about healing people and digging deep into the lowest foundation so that the body starts to respond. And a lot of that happens in the gut. This is very, very generalized to help people kind of understand what this means, a healthy gut versus an unhealthy gut. You can see this image here that has these finger-like projections. This is our epithelial cellular lining of our gut. And meant to be super tight. It is rock solid. It is meant to keep anything out other than the nutrients that the body needs. What happens over time is it has been bombarded on so many levels from just the world that we live in, the stress that we're under, the food that we eat, the water we drink. So it has become inflamed. Most people walking around are living with this low-grade inflammation, gut inflammation. So over time, these tight junctions begin to open up. And that's where you start to develop leaky gut. Leaky gut is basically setting the stage for so many other conditions down the road. And now, again, it comes back to the things that were supposed to be kept outside of the body are now entering the body. So what is your microbiome, and how important is it? And just so everybody understands, really, the microbiome is this collection of organisms, this ecosystem that lives in our body. We have organisms all over our body, but the majority are in our gut. So our intestines, mainly in the large intestine. So all of these organisms drive our health. They regulate our weight, our immune function, our digestive function, our mood, and just overall mental health. Our gut and our brain, there is a pathway that connects the two, so they're in constant communication. So what happens in the gut happens in the brain, happens in the brain, happens in the gut. It's a two-way street. So what we feed our bodies affects the microbiome, which in turn is going to affect your mind and all the other crucial bodily systems. So when your microbiome is in balance, you feel great. When you start to get out of balance, you are symptomatic. You are tired, you're sad, you're anxious, you're hungry, you feel bloated, confused, etc. The list goes on. So this is all driven by our gut. So what actually can pass into our bloodstream once these tight junctions open up? Many different things. Gluten, parasites, harmful bacteria, toxins, heavy metals, undigested food particles, mold spores, the list goes on. And when things pass through, That is, again, problematic because now the immune system is involved. The immune system sits right inside the gut lining because it is meant to protect us and is meant to eliminate foreign material, foreign, bad bacteria, all these things coming in that really are coming in at a that were coming in at a slower rate. Now they're coming in all over, and the immune system is over, and it can't keep up with the leakiness and the pathways that is allowing those things to come in all over. So what really causes all of the destruction? Like I said before, it can be a number of different things. Stress, it can be physical stress or emotional stress. The body doesn't differentiate the difference. So if you are a high performing athlete versus someone who's being emotionally abused, that's stress on the body. Lack of sleep, obviously poor eating, processed foods are destroying your gut. I think most people understand that. Food poisoning or some other insult to your gut that you've had in the past. If you were on vacation at some point, you had food poisoning, you dealt with it for a couple of days and then you got better, keep in mind that you still might be dealing with the consequences of what happened at that time. So these are things that now have kind of compromised that whole environment. Antibiotic overuse or other medications such as steroids, acid reflux medication, these things are killing, literally knock out your healthy bacteria, and again, affecting your entire health. Environmental toxins, if you live in a moldy environment, if you used to live in a moldy environment, even if it was back when you were a child or in college, this is something you need to look into. I'm going to end up doing a whole presentation on this, but I just hope people don't overlook this. And then negative thoughts, or just, and this kind of goes hand in hand with believing that you can be healthy, believing that you're really seeing yourself living a healthier lifestyle and being a healthier weight is really just having those positive thoughts. So the top 3 tips for optimal gut health is reducing inflammation and infections, creating this healthy gut integrity and diversity, we'll talk a little more about, and strategic nutrition and supplementation. So a compromised gut and weight gain, why is there correlation with the two? And I'm just going to run through a number of things. The big one is inflammation. Anytime you have a compromised gut, you have inflammation in the body. Inflammation is an injury, it's damage. So you will begin to retain fluid, because that's what the body naturally does when there's an injury. It attracts fluids for its protective mechanism. But now you have inflammation, and then you also have fluid retention that never goes away. Nutrient depletion. These key nutrients are no longer being absorbed because of your absorptive, or you're simply not getting it in your diet because the diet is highly processed and stripped of all of these essential nutrients. You have fat malabsorption. We see this all the time. So fatty acid deficiencies affects so many different aspects of the body, including weight loss. Again, compromised immune system. And once you have this compromised so basically once you have a compromised gut health, now you have a compromised immune system, and now you are susceptible to just more pathogenic overgrowth and infections because it continues to cycle down. It's not going to recover on its own unless you stop what is happening and start to make changes. There is also, along with bacteria in our gut, we also have yeast and fungus. And what we see often is that an unhealthy body or an unhealthy gut, we start to see these increases in yeast, which will also create some imbalances and cause sugar cravings. It will exacerbate the immune function. So again, it's really, really looking at gut health as a whole and making sure we're taking care of it as much as possible. Food sensitivities. We have a ton of people coming to us because they feel like they can't eat anything anymore. And it is a major warning sign for leaky gut. Eventually leads to an autoimmune response. And I just kind of went through this, but this immune response, again, can, because it's so overactive, can lead to autoimmunity. Your body's own immune cells begin to attack its own healthy organs because it's confused. There's too many things coming in, and the immune system doesn't know what's normal and what's not anymore. So it starts to attack our organs. So for diabetes, the pancreas. For Hashimoto's or hyperthyroidism, obviously our thyroid. Then there's MS, arthritis, Crohn's. I mean, there's these inflammatory diseases that are really due to first gut health and then our immune system. There's causes of severe nutrient malabsorption because of it. So again, what are you actually absorbing? We used to hear all the time, you are what you eat, but actually that's not true at all. It's actually what you digest and absorb, because we can eat healthy foods all day long, but if our body is resisting it, or if we can't, or we're malabsorbing nutrients, that we're not getting any of that nutrition. So here are just some common deficiencies that we're seeing all the time. Lactose, I'm not going to get into details of the different ways that people can't tolerate dairy, but just please understand that humans really were not designed to eat or drink cow's milk. Cow's milk really was made for calves. And so we have, we live in this world now where calcium is part of our daily life multiple times a day. Our guidelines, our USDA guidelines basically tell us to eat multiple times a day. So we really need to take a step back and start to dig deeper into this and really understand, what is it that you should be feeding your body with? And when it comes to certain food groups, the majority of people that come to us, one of the very first things I'm doing is taking them off of dairy. And just doing that one thing will change many different things that they're experiencing. Candida, I mentioned it before, this is an overgrowth of yeast, usually in the intestines, but it can grow anywhere in the body. So you can get overgrowth in your mouth, you can get it on your skin, you can get it in your hands, anywhere, some people might be familiar with thrush. Candida can cause acne. So this can be a big problem. It's a yeast, it's strong, and it can attach to the intestinal wall, and it is really, really hard to get rid of. There is Candida of just our commensal kind of environment, but when it overgrows, it's really, really hard to manage. It can cause numerous health issues, including secreting certain toxins. When we work with people that have massive yeast overgrowth, they tell us all the time how they have those episodes of like extreme fatigue, brain fog, memory loss. It literally is because of these toxins that is produced by this invasive yeast. Candida depletes the body of magnesium and potassium, which are crucial nutrients. Magnesium needs to be taken by every human on the planet because we don't get it in our food anymore. And so we're really, really super deficient in the most important nutrients. I mean, we've now been told that magnesium is basically needed for it used to be 300 different chemical reactions in the body. Now they're finding that it's double that. So if you can imagine, if you don't have enough magnesium, then 300 to 600 different reactions in your body is not happening. So it's a big deal. Like I said, Candida can travel all over and affect the joints, the chest, the sinus, respiratory system, and it stresses your immune system to no end. And your you really don't realize how much your immune system is working when you have candida. So that's why people get sick more often, because it's immune system so busy trying to contain candida, and then something else comes in and then they get sick. So another piece to this is certain compounds that secrete inflammatory compounds. It's called LPS. Lipopolysaccharides is a part of the gram-negative bacteria in our guts. And these listed here they all secrete LPS. And again, this is literally inflammatory compounds that are being released, so putting you in that inflammatory state. Something that I did want to just point out is that these are increased by eating a higher fat diet. So I know a lot of people are familiar with keto. I know it's kind of like the go-to. People have been on and off it their entire life. And I'm here to tell you that for a good number of people, this is not the best approach. Keto is good term when you're really trying to accomplish certain things. I do believe there is a place for it, but long term, it's affecting your gut health long term, because you're eliminating all of those foods that the healthy bacteria need to thrive off of. So keep that in mind if you are someone who does keto often and you just are not feeling it, but you're still forcing it because you're like, this is really all I can do that makes a difference. So something to think about. We're going to talk a little bit about what the research shows as far as characteristics of an obese microbiome. So what do we see in somebody that is obese or overweight? We know that they have poor glucose metabolism and low grade inflammation. They are in again, it comes back to, I've been saying it a million times, they're in this low grade inflammatory state. We also know they have lack of diversity. So we have trillions of different bacteria, we have different strains, and what we know is that a highly processed diet basically kills certain strains, so you have a very low bacterial diversity. We are starting to see this elevated ratio of what we call firmicutes and Bacteroidetes. So these are two categories that most bacteria fall under. And we're starting to see this higher incidence of weight loss resistance because of the ratio. So we want to see a good balance, but now we're seeing a lot more of the firmicutes, which are correlated more with weight loss resistance. H. pylori seems to be a very common thing these days. It does a number of things on your gut health, but one of the main things as it relates to weight and satiety is that it reduces ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone. So oftentimes people that come to us, there are a number who really, they just feel like they never can get full enough. Like they could eat all day and they just don't have that proper signaling. And also just general overgrowth of bacteria and yeast seems to be common. So these types of things that love sugar, because that's really what the diet has consisted of for so long. So obviously if you feed those species what they want, they're going to grow. So the common foods that damage your intestinal lining: gluten, dairy, sushi, GMO and processed foods, processed sugar. Beans can damage your intestinal lining, rice, wheat, and soy. So the standard American diet, right there. So what does a lean microbiome look like? It is rich in diversity. There are many different strains of bacteria. There's a higher amount of a bacteria called Akkermansia. This is associated with a lower BMI, lower grade inflammation, and less excess fat. Akkermansia has the ability to restore the gut barrier, and it also is reduced by a high fat and high alcohol diet. You can replace and grow Akkermansia by eating more prebiotics, polyphenols, etc. So we when we are running certain tests on people, it's really, really cool to kind of see what their makeup is, because again, I can't emphasize how much being strategic really helps people move along. So where do you start? How do you cultivate a lean gut? Well, if you've done testing, then you want to really increase the strains that metabolize fat. So where is your starting point? Do we need to make some tweaks to your regimen? We want to decrease the strains that are inflammatory and destructive. We want to provide nutrients that heal the gut, identify common nutrient deficiencies, minimize strains that cause constipation. You should not be constipated. If you are, make sure you find out why, and make sure you are going to the bathroom every single day. It's crucial. You want to reduce organisms that are driving these cravings, and you really want to know how to feed. You should know the specific, probiotics, prebiotics foods that are going to protect your gut. I'm going to talk a little bit about probiotics. People kind of think that gut health is probiotics. I always tell people, I ask them, the first thing I say is, do you understand what gut health means? Because I am gonna kind of give you the lowdown, but I need to know where you're at. And they say, oh yeah, I take a probiotic every day. And then right then and there, I'm like, okay, I know I have to take, like 5 steps back. So probiotics. Okay. So it is basically what these are bacteria, live microbial agents that have been demonstrated to impose a benefit to the host, which is us. So you can take them in supplement form. You can get them in food, yogurt, fermented milk, kimchi, kombucha, etc. And a couple very important things to know about probiotics is that when you take them, they kind of go in, they do their thing. So whether they're helping you extract more nutrients, digest certain foods, whatever they are meant to do, they do their thing, and then they are excreted from the body. So they don't typically colonize and stay in the gut. So that's why probiotics, it's like you have to take them every single day. Now, some newer research and newer probiotics on the market are showing that their probiotics are actually colonizing the gut, which is what we want. But there's more research that needs to come out in that area. So not only do most not colonize and stay in the gut when you take them, but a lot of them don't even survive stomach acid. So if you're taking them orally and they're not a great product, you're getting them from Walmart or Walgreens, you take it, the live bacteria basically is killed by the stomach acid, goes down, and then you basically poop it out. So it's really, really super important that you know what type of probiotic you are taking. And if you are taking something, listen to your body, you should feel better. If you're not feeling better, it's either not even getting into your system alive, or it's not the right strain for you. Probiotics can also be yeast. So I mentioned yeast and fungus in our body. And so you can actually also take a yeast probiotic and hope to kind of replace some of the more harmful stuff. So the goal is to really, again, try to create that balance if you have overgrowth of yeast. So there are certain strains that have been shown in research to aid in weight loss. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see that we actually do know certain strains that will help. There are certain supplements with these specific strains that are outlined there as well. So cultivating a lean gut is really about diversifying your diet. This is so important. If you are someone who eats the same foods every day, really, really important to start changing things up. I can't emphasize that enough. Prebiotics are super important. They are different than probiotics because prebiotics are actually They're non-digestible oligosaccharides. So these are it's actual like fiber that feeds specifically the healthy bacteria. So this can actually be more beneficial than taking probiotics. Getting tested and really knowing what your makeup is so important. And then just, understanding there are certain nutrients that help heal the gut. And I kind of outlined some of them here. But again, we're very, very strategic when we're making recommendations because there are millions of products out there for gut health. But so you can't just start taking something because it's like, oh, helps with digestion, helps with bloating, helps with reflux. Like until you know why you have those issues, you really will never get the results that you're looking for. Lifestyle factors are just as important. Avoiding antibiotics, medications, processed foods and drinks whenever possible. Getting at least 7 hours of sleep. Not eating so frequently. I feel like, we've just kind of like started this, this regimen of eating 3 meals a day and snacks between, because that's kind of what we've been told. And sometimes it literally takes just changing how often you're eating rather than what you're eating, because even if you are eating somewhat healthy food but you're eating all day long, that can do much harm. Not over exercising if exercise is causing stress, and really, again, controlling your own stress, really understanding how you can adapt to certain situations. When you heal the gut, this is what you can expect. Clear skin, reduced allergies, obviously lower your risk of disease, improved cognition function, improved absorption, less anxiety and depression, less food sensitivities, more energy, stronger immune system, less inflammation. I mean, the list goes on, but that literally is what happens when you heal the gut. I had mentioned a few times that we dig a little deeper. We do a specific test that will look at basically all the layout of your microbiome. And so then we're basically identifying certain areas that we can focus on, because there are different strains that do different things. If there's overgrowth of the bat, we really have to just look at it as a whole and determine what do we need to go after first. Food sensitivities, we do a food sensitivity test. We wish that everyone would do 2 tests together because it really can move your health along the spectrum very quickly, but we understand that not everybody can do both tests right away. And the reason for us really recommending both is because you can really do so much in starting that healing process with your gut. But if you're eating the foods that are causing an inflammation in your body, and I always describe it as like the grenade in your gut. So it's not always the unhealthy food. Like you can see here, it could be blueberries, it could be grapefruit. And if you're eating that every day when you're trying to heal your gut, it's just going to prolong the whole process. So weight loss obviously is multifactorial. It is our ecosystem or the bacteria, the microbiome that's determining our energy balance. There are certain bacteria that harvest calories while other bacteria burns calories. Some bacteria aids in glucose metabolism. Inflammation, often in our body, once you have inflammation, this low-grade inflammation, it becomes really difficult to be metabolically strong. And oftentimes this inflammation is coming from food sensitivities and just sugar imbalances. Fat metabolism and mobilization, we have to know how to burn our fat. We have to know how to mobilize the difficult fat stores. And nobody's really doing this. Nobody's talking about it. And so we've become real experts in targeting this abnormal fat. Lean versus obese. So you are what you feed your bacteria. So just a couple examples here of some testimonials. This is Dan. Dan, you can see, started at a very heavy weight, and his results, I mean, obviously this took a lot of hard work, but it's amazing what you can do to help people once you start addressing the whole picture and really looking at the gut. So you can see here, he went from 420 to 223, his body fat percentage went from 54.9 to 20. Visceral fat is basically the fat that surrounds your vital organs, such as your liver. So for some of our patients, we literally can reverse their liver condition by getting their visceral fat down to a normal level, which is 10 or less. So it's pretty amazing. You can see, oops, and he had great results, and from what I understand, just continued to progress in his health journey. So just a quick recap. Health cannot be achieved if the gut and the brain are out of balance. Weight loss will never be maintained by just reducing calories and exercising more. Food sensitivities and GI symptoms are not normal. So if you are someone who has brain fog, constant or chronic migraines, fatigue, sugar cravings, insomnia, just please understand that this is not normal. These are signs, these are signals telling your body is telling you that something is wrong. So this is an opportunity for you to dig deeper into that. And again, really important to understand that 80% of all chronic diseases are preventable and curable. And so just some more testimonials. This particular guy lost 80 pounds, 63 pounds of it was just body fat. On another success story, lost 74 pounds and 70 pounds was fat. So, you know, just to reiterate the fact that when people lose a lot of weight, if they don't know what they're losing, it's not always a successful weight loss, because if I would add muscle to this loss, that would not have been ideal. So again, 80% of all chronic diseases are preventable. 80%, think about that. Out of all the chronic diseases that are out there, 80% are really related to lifestyle diseases. Thank you very much. You can email us with any questions. You can schedule a free call with us to discuss your situation. We are here to help you. But again, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.